My name is Kieran Jones, also known as Ronnie Oner.
Sit back and wait to hear slam and trap. DJs don't want cut. Sit back and wait to hear slam and trap. DJs don't want cut.
Basically, we got started from the breakdancing, and that was sort of overlapped by BMXing. So everyone started the BMX, then that sort of went out and it faded into the breakdance thing after seeing, like most people, Malcolm McLaren's Buffalo Girls video. So, you know, I saw the writing and always interested in lettering and shop signs. So from there, I started putting my name up and tagging, and, you know, obviously developed from there. And then started to do pieces. I can remember my first piece was on Boxing Day, 1984, and it was a piece called Style on the back of a Dutch barn. And as soon as I'd finished that, I was completely hooked and painted, you know, pretty much every weekend thereafter. So the same as every other writer in the UK and you know, across the world, we used to go out nicking paint, you know, racking paint. So you go to Halfords and you steal the Duplicolor, the car plan. Then you go to the garages and you nick the chrome Spectra and the black undercarriage paint for vehicles. Also, you know, you could buy paint if you had the money. You know, you had paper rounds and things like that, milk rounds, and then you put all that money into either travelling to Bristol, London, or, you know, you put it into paint. But generally, you'd nick the paint. So I wrote to Holtz and Duplicolor as a youngster, probably 1987, and asked them for any damaged cans. So I drove up to Cheshire with my sister drove, and we came back with a vehicle full of paint, which lasted me for ages. So that was a really nice story that, you know, they sort of helped us along whilst we were nicking their paint from, you know, the shelves. Carrier, well, you know, nicking the paint, for going back to that, you know, you'd have a goose jacket on or something, or a MA1 flying jacket bomber, and you'd cut holes in the inside pockets, and then you could sort of feed the cans all the way around. And also, you know, you used to reach up to a shelf and you could just pop a can down your sleeve. There's one particular place which sold quite a famous can of paint, which is called Marabou Buntlack. It was the best paint out there because the colours were pinks, lilacs, you know, off-key greens. So, and that was like sort of £7 or £8 a can. So nobody could afford that really. So that had to be racked. I painted there for a few years. There were quite a few crews from that side. You know, the main one being Elite. There was another one further down the road called This, That and the Other. There was also one from Caerphilly, Dynamic Force. So these guys were linking together. One of them was my cousin, so we were sort of, you know, linked with those as well. So I run a crew called Colour Scheme, and I was writing Colour Flow at the time. And like a lot of people grew out of the graffiti thing, but I was, you know, as soon as they started getting out of it, I was even more determined to crack on with it. So, and I moved to Cardiff, but we were painting, our line was Cardiff Central towards the Bristol side, so the main line, but we'd also paint from Pontypridd to Cardiff Queen Street. So we walked that line, me and a guy called Dino, this is just a little bit later, like 87, 88, so me and Dino were painting, we called MLP, the Mainline Posse. So Mainline Posse was sort of battling with another crew called STN, Second to None. One of the guys was out of Elite, the other guy was from a Pontypridd crew. So we sort of linked up with them and we just became Second to None, and we painted a lot and we were up pretty much, you know, everywhere. You know, I was writing Phase at the time, so it was Phase, Dave, Race and Dino. So the four of us painted heavily. We were doing chromas, you know, every Friday and Saturday. We had the place battered. you only painted against other writers. I never sort of cared what the general public thought of it. It wasn't for them. Firstly, it was for myself, because I'd sit there for hours doing outlines, meet up with the guys and say, look, this is what I got, and they'd be like, yeah, that's the one, we're doing that. Let's organise our paint, and we'd just go out there and do our own thing. As far as we were concerned, no one could beat us at the time. And I'll still stand by that today. Our outlines were pretty cool. A few of the people, let's say some of the Cardiff crew, they'd sort of given up as well by then. People got into football and a bit of terrorist violence. So we had a good run for years. 15 at the time, so that was like 1986, 87. I was just doing my GCSEs, and in fact we were the first year to do GCSEs. Before that it was O-levels. So I was starting my GCSEs, went into a shop because I wanted a t-shirt printed, a one-off of a piece of graffiti I did. Phoned around everywhere, asking everyone, and one guy said, yeah, we can do it. So I went to Cardiff and got this t-shirt printed and asked the guy, can I see the process? And I had my portfolio with me. And basically I saw the process. It was called sublimation printing. You could do a one-off. It was like a photocopy method. And I just couldn't believe this could be done as a one-off. The shirt came out, it was perfect. He had a look through my portfolio and offered me a job there and then. And I started the next day. So that was pretty cool. So I worked for that company. It was called Bannerman Signs. It was like sort of a franchise that been sort of imported from America, as a lot of these things are. So I worked there for quite some time, until 1995, 96. At this time, I already knew that I was going to start on my own. It was just manifesting it to get to that point. So in sort of June of 1996, I woke up one morning, handed my flat back to the owners, went to live back with my mum and started Oner Signs. That was in July 1996, so it's 27 years this year. And my first customer was a guy from Merthyr Motor Auctions and Woody's Emporium, which everyone knows. So I was doing a lot of work for those guys. That kept me really busy. Then a couple of months later, we moved into the city centre of Cardiff, in Church Street. So we're still there today. I mean, we put nights on, and we put a night on Monday, the 19th of February 1989. So this, in 89, people were going well out of hip-hop. They were going into raving. People were travelling to Manchester and all that type of thing, doing packers, and we sort of still kept that hip-hop thing. So we done this night in Charbonniers in Merthyr. It's called Hip Hop Party 1. The place held, I think, something like 400 people. We had 750 people there, and I've got the videos of it to show that. There was break dancers there, there was graffiti there was MCs there. So you had 4D and DK the Volcano. They were rapping there. You had Jaffa DJing, DJ Dino DJing. You had MCSD on the mic. We took 3 coaches from the Empire Pool in Cardiff, and so they had a return coach from Cardiff City Centre and entry to the gig for a £5. So it was pretty good. So that's one of the things I'm pretty proud of that event, because we packed it out. Well, I mean, with the paint jams, it was the Oner rooftop, which is now it's no longer there. It's now a terrace for the Botanist Bar. But yeah, we basically out onto the roof of Oner, there was a huge rooftop. So we just snuck up there and started painting it. And eventually, it just became a jam pretty much every weekend. People were painting Oner rooftop. So people from all over the world have painted there. And similarly, the shop, people have come from the most random of places. And we've had, Public Enemy in there. We've had people like Mo Love, Ultramagnetics, Killer Keller's turned up, Black Twang, Ty, Rodney P. So, KRS-One was there like a couple of weeks ago. So it's really strange that they find us. We just tend to end up meeting these people. So, yeah, with that in mind, I mean, like I said, we've been there for 27 years, and we've backed hip-hop since day one. the first thing I got in my shop was a rack full of marble buntlack. It was so important that there was a rack of paint there that you could actually touch, so you could take an outline with you, hold the can and check the outline colours instead of having to say to someone, oh, can I have a look at that can? You know, some paint will get racked from me. I mean, it's karma, I suppose, but it was really important to me that we had paint there for writers to come and look. Well, so 3 years ago, just before COVID and that type of thing, I moved to Swansea and got married, and so that sort of changed the dynamic of oner. I sort of rented a little room and picked up a load of business in Swansea. It's, you know, if you work hard, it'll come to you, and you know that's the ethos. Just keep on keeping on. And so now you're standing in our new store, which is in the city centre of Swansea. It's 13 Nelson Street, and so you can see around you. It's a very similar setup to Cardiff, and you know we have got plans in the future to do more. So that's where we are as of today.
And now I'm living in correctional facilities, cause some don't agree with how I do this.
We specialise in design, signs and print. So that's anything from a shop front to a flyer. And you know, that's something we really pride ourselves on. You can come in and have a chat to us. Don't just order it online, which is faceless. We'll come in and tell you what you need, because sometimes people don't actually know what they need. So we pride ourselves on that one-to-one service. So I think it was 2006. It was myself, a guy who tags Ripe, and another lad who tags Golf. And sadly, Golf is no longer with us. He died in a sort of a graffiti-based incident, and so he's no longer with us. So going back to the hard copy, it was sort of a battle against the internet, really, where we thought that the graph was getting, you know, watered down and throwaway. You could just flick through the images and, you know, not hold on to them. So we decided, you know, the word hard copy is from print. It means an actual printed copy, which is tactile. So we started off just running sort of, I say, you know, zine-style punk issues of it. Tom passed away after issue 2, and then then Ripe moved away because he was working at oner, and he moved into another place, so he sort of went by the by. Then another old school friend who I used to paint with, Scott Free, great graphic designer, and another guy which you all probably know, is Junior Disprol, amazing MC and a great artist. We got together and basically upped the ante of the hard copy. So you know, we got to issue 8, and anyone who's put a magazine together will know how much time it takes and how difficult it is, or can be, to publish a magazine. I actually wrote to Thames and Hudson in 1988 and asked them, you know, are you interested in putting a magazine together, because they published Spray Can Art and Subway Art. And I had a lovely letter back saying, we don't think there's any market for a magazine. A year later, and the German magazine market, graph magazine market, was insane. So I did, I did think about that quite some time ago. So it was on my mind, and sometimes these things take a long time to manifest. So, like I just said, we were on issue 8, and we sort of stopped because it was getting too much. But by that point, it was getting distributed to 27 countries through public art distribution. So we sort of done a good job of it, and issue 9 was started, and I think there's more to come from it. I think we'll resurrect it due to the 50th anniversary situation, having to speak to all the old school writers and all the old hip hop heads. I think we've got enough information to crack on with it, because what we were doing at the time of the hard copy, which I've been doing for like 20 years, is collating all the information about Welsh hip hop. So we've sort of got a book there ready to go. I'm not saying it's a definitive guide, but it's close. Yeah, I mean, I'm like a traditional writer, I suppose. I mean, I tend not to do characters, and I tend not to hide my letters. I like something simple, And I mean, from a typographical angle, which I come from, really, I like to keep the letters simple, plain, done, and you're gone. Nowadays, I can't be bothered to spend more than 2 hours on a piece. I haven't got the time, and I sort of, it gets a little bit boring for me then after that. I just like to do something really quick, because that's how we started painting. It was with a can of chrome, a can of smooth, right, on the wall, and you're out of there. So I sort of still like that. I mean, I'll sketch and I'll do burners, but I've got to be really focused on doing that. And I get myself, it'd take me like a month to bother doing a burner. And obviously with working, it's all about timing. It's the same as a lot of people with families and other hobbies, I suppose, come into play there.
Don't sweat the technique. Don't sweat the technique.
In Wales, we were the first people to do graph stickers and printed ones. Because I was working in a sign shop back in 1986, we are having large sheets of Façon crackback. So they were sort of like 600 by 800 mil. So they were huge. They were this sort of size. So I was, utilising those sheets and doing actual full throw-up letters on them. I was tagging phase at the time and stroke wrong one. And I was doing these massive Fs, so they were going up. They were huge. They looked like little burners. But going on to this, so whatever was left on the sides, there was no waste, which I always loved with the graffiti. There was no waste anywhere. Even if it was a little, off-key angle strip, we tagged that and they'd go up. So then I'd done this particular piece, Cardiff's number 1, and we had it printed at another print shop. I think we had something like 1,000 printed, and they were A6 style stickers, and we put them up everywhere. And I mean everywhere. We battered every bus. We were all through Bristol with them, all through London. So London Graphics, you see them there, all the record shop, Groove Records and places like that, you'd see our stickers up, and it was second to none. I suppose, you had all the postal notes originally, the postal stickers. So as any graffiti artist, if you can get something to put your name up with, whatever it is, you'll put it up. Even if it's shoe polish, you'll put it up. And so it basically came from there. And most people have done a bit of stickering. Everyone loves a sticker. I mean, we've given out, since we started, probably over 30,000 stickers. And pretty much they're all around the world. Wherever I've been, there's stickers up everywhere. And the amount of people have said, I've got an old one, a sticker, and they show it to me, and it's like, wow, I can remember making that. So it's got, a little bit of heart involved in our sticker. We do pride ourselves on being the best at stickers because we've been doing it for so long. Honestly, the only pieces I'd say are by Elite, which are from my area originally, and there was a guy called Mike Oner who was writing images, and he was doing, this wild style, this 5D computer style almost, which is, people will know that from Subway Art. He was an incredible artist, and another one who gave up to get into the football thing. But yeah, I mean, that was completely, as far as I'm concerned, because we were such a small area, and you didn't have the internet, didn't have the mags, so no one knew what was going on. All across the UK and all across the world, there was these little pockets of people into hip-hop, breaking, not so much DJing, because that was a difficult task to get a set of decks at that age, but there were people writing, there were crews. I mean, at one point, I think, in our local area, there was something like 15 crews. And in school, everyone had a tag. So everyone was putting stuff up all over the shop. And, that died out. And I see it again. Every few years, you get like the 10, 11, 12-year-olds getting involved. And, let's say 10 of them come through the shop the first year. Second year, there'll be 4. 2 years later, there's 1 of them left. But on the other hand, I've seen 13-year-olds who've given up, and then 10 years later, they come back into the shop. They were that when they came. They're this side. They're fully grown adults then, and they've got back into it. So I think once you start writing graffiti and you've got that thing about putting your name up, it never really goes away.